Alright, forgive me. This is my first live chat. Let me know if you guys are in the comment section. Um, looks like my internet's still being crazy. I also had an issue with my sound on for the preview, which was feeding back. So I do apologize. All right, guys. How's the audio now? Can you guys all good? Good to go? All right. Well, guys, let's get going. I want to just first of all tell you guys thank you and just kind of give you guys an idea of what this is going to be all about and what we expect this to become. First of all, I want this to be more of a relaxed setting. I think that we most of the time, people who make videos on YouTube, there's a lot of pressure for us to, produce a good video and things like that. And how that translates to programming is that uh, what ends up happening is if you're a new programmer, you miss out on everything that goes into creating the software. And what ends up happening is that you guys end up copying code that we created. And I don't think that's necessarily the most helpful way to learn. I know a lot of you guys have commented and said, hey, you learned from some of my stuff before. And that's wonderful. I'm glad that you did, and I learned that way. Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. I see you guys coming into the comments. It's great to see you all. And but anyhow, we don't learn by watching people and copying their code. So I had this idea. It's like, you know what? Why don't we go live and build something together in a real relaxed, controlled environment, just as if I would take you guys to work with me and just kind of have you sit behind me and look over my shoulder the entire process. And I actually think with your guys' help, that I think we could build something great together. And so I haven't gone through and coded this thing out ahead of time. I haven't started on anything yet. And so if you guys watched my MVC PHP tutorial, we've built a framework. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But I just want to go through a couple housekeeping items, guys. First and foremost, I've received just such great support and kind words from all of you. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for just putting up with me being gone for so long. And man, I can't tell you what a blessing it is to have a group of people from all around the world, all different backgrounds and languages and religions and belief systems, and we all come together around one central thing, and that's learning how to better ourselves, learning how to become better people and to provide for our families better. And one way that we can do that is through programming. And so it's really awesome, because I think that if all of us were in person, you guys probably wouldn't like me all that much. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you would, but I don't know. It's just really cool to see so many different people from so many different countries. So I just want to thank you guys. Thank you for all the kind words about my father passing, and some of you shared some pretty intimate things that you're going through now, and I'm really sorry to hear that. All I can say is there's no easy way to deal with loss and all of that. So what we can do is honor the people that we lost by making the best life that we possibly can and leaving the world a better place than when we found it. And so, all right. The other thing, I just one more housekeeping thing before we get started. I've noticed in my analytics that probably 80%, 80% of my views and view time on my channel comes from people who aren't subscribed. And that kind of blew me away when I saw that. And I think it's because I haven't done a good job at reminding people to subscribe to my channel. And what that tells me is, like, I have about 7,500 subscribers right now, and that's only making up 20% of my views, if you guys can believe that. So I get asked all the time, like, how can I help the channel? How can I help you? And so one thing that you can do is subscribe to the channel and like. It actually helps me out a lot, because YouTube actually will pay me a little bit of money for ads that are displayed on my channel. And it's not a lot of money, so I'm not getting rich or anything. I think I'll just be, I don't, it's probably violates some sort of YouTube thing to tell you guys how much I make, but I'll just tell you. To some of you this is going to sound like a lot, maybe depending on what country you're from. To some of you it's not, but I can tell you here in the United States it's not a lot of money. I make about $150 every 2 months doing this, so it's not something that I'm not even doing this to make money actually, but if I'm going to start doing these long live streams, it would help my family a little bit if we started making a little bit from YouTube, just so that I had a reason. I can give it to my wife and she can be happy about me being gone for 3 or 4 hours every Tuesday night to do these. So I'm going to kind of slow down and look at some of your comments because it's awesome. We got someone from Detroit. Hello, Gifted Fingers. He says he's a JavaScript junkie, but ready to learn PHP. Well, welcome. I'm the opposite. I started with PHP, and I have recently been transitioned at my job to front-end development, and we use React, and so I've had to learn a lot of the JavaScript stuff in the last year or two, and it's been a lot of fun. I love JavaScript as well. It's a lot different than PHP. Well, the syntax is very similar, but JavaScript handles things quite a bit different than most other programming languages, which gives it some strengths and also just makes it a little funky when you don't know what's going on. But welcome, guys. The other thing, I'm going to keep my eye on the comments, guys, but there's also Super Chat, which I guess you guys could pay $1 or something like that to send me a chat. If you guys do that, that'd be awesome. If you don't do that, hey, no hard feelings, guys. So I just want to throw those few things out and let's get going. So I put out a post just kind of asking you guys what you want to build and what framework would you like to use on this. And early on I got just, you know, kind of a mix between like CodeIgniter and Laravel and Cake PHP, and actually it was kind of tied because for a long time people said, why don't we use the framework that we just built in the last series because we're intimately aware of the code base. And I thought, well, it's not as good of a framework as some of those others, and so I kind of planned on using this framework for a couple reasons. A, it's really simple, and I'm really well aware of the code because we wrote it, but also you guys can get in and see the code very easily. Some of those other frameworks like Laravel I was looking at today because, and we'll get back to this in a second, but man, Laravel is insanely robust. There's a lot to learn. It's a big framework, and you can do a lot with it. It looks amazing. We use Falcon PHP at the place where I work, so we use Falcon PHP for the back end stuff, and then we're using React.js for the front end. But yeah, so right towards the end of the post, I got like an influx of people saying, "Let's use Laravel. Let's use Laravel." And that's all I heard. And so I just read all those like this morning, and I was like, "Oh crap! I didn't spend any time in this last week learning Laravel at all. I've never used it at all." So I looked a little bit at it today on break when I was at work, and I thought, man, you guys are gonna hate watching me stumble through getting that set up and reading their documentation. So I think what we're gonna do, hopefully this won't be a deal breaker for any of you, but I think we're gonna use the MVC framework that we created on the YouTube channel. And then you guys have made yourself crystal clear that you want a course in Laravel. So I'm going to prepare a course outside of this live event to show how to use Laravel. And I think it'll be interesting for me as well because I've never used it. And I've used a few of the other ones, but Laravel I've just not used because it's, from what I hear, some of the cons is that it's pretty bloated and it's kind of slow because of that. So the fastest one is by far Falcon. It's probably not as feature-rich as Laravel, though. So you guys let me know in the comments if you're still here, and let me know if you're okay with using our MVC framework. If it's a deal breaker and you just want to use Laravel and you guys would rather watch me stumble through that, we can do that as well. But I'm going to, let's see, let me double check, make sure nothing's gone crazy. Alright. I'm going to post the link to our MVC framework from Bitbucket. Hello! Someone just joined. Alright. In the comments section, I don't know if that's a good place to put this. This is my first live stream, guys, so hopefully you can hopefully you guys can see that stuff. So there we go. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and let's just kind of get started on a few things here. Okay, so that's the link I just sent you to the Bitbucket here. I'm gonna go ahead, and if you guys use Git, you can click clone right here, and you can copy this, and we can use Git to actually clone this project into our projects directory. If you guys don't know anything about Git, or you don't have Git installed on your computer, then what you can do is go down here to Downloads, and you can click on Download Repository, and what that'll do is it'll give you a zip file of all of the source code from this, so you'll still be able to follow along. Just copy this into your htdocs folder, and I do have what's up, guys? And I do have my servers running already. We're using XAMPP 7.2.12. I do recommend that you guys, if you're going to follow along, to go ahead and have that. If you're using 5.6, it's not probably going to matter that much, but I am going to be using 7.2. The other thing, if you are on a Mac like I am on, which I love Linux, but on Mac is just kind of ready to go because that's what I use at work. I'm going to show you guys something. If you are on Mac, I do not recommend, let me see, go to ApacheFriends.org. I don't recommend that you download this XAMPP VM. This is a virtual machine version of XAMPP, and so it's cool and everything, and it's got some powerful stuff that you can do with virtual machines. And but instead, go ahead and click here for other versions. And if you're on Mac, go ahead and go down and get the version that does not have the VM on it. So you don't want the virtual machine, just so that you can easily follow along with me. So I'm assuming a lot of you guys, since you've been on my channel, have XAMPP installed, with the exception of maybe Gifted Fingers. Yeah, LAMP will work just fine. So if you're using LAMP, WAMP, XAMPP, whatever, that should all be just fine, guys. So we have that running. Make sure your servers are up and running. You can open that, or you can do it via command line. I'm going to go ahead and paste that git clone into my htdocs right here. Let me grab that really quick. So I'm going to go to here and clone it. And then we'll jump over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in. So this will clone that project right into my htdocs. And then I'm just going to go ahead and rename this. I don't know what to name it, so I'm just going to name it Live, because we're going to do a live series. Alright, and then I'm just going to go ahead and jump into that. Alright, and then okay, so you guys are very welcome. A lot of people just expressing gratitude. That's awesome. And also Linux Forever, absolutely. It's funny, man. I started with Linux, and yeah, you can use WAMP if you're on a Windows machine. XAMPP works on Windows, Linux, or Mac. They used to just be for Mac, and they released a version for Windows and for Linux. So for ease of use, I just tell people XAMPP. But if you already got WAMP installed, as long as you guys are on like PHP 5.6 or so, that should be good. All right. So just a couple things here. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see. Let's make sure my ugly face isn't covering up anything important on the screen. We can just get rid of my face. I hate my face. Yeah, that's better. Screen just my screen. Okay, so right here I have Atom open, and if you guys haven't followed along with our series with the MVP, I have a whole series on creating a PHP MVC framework, and we just finished that, or gotten close to finish. I'm sure we're going to discover bugs as we build an entire application on it. But this is all that it is, and there's just a couple things that we need to change here in order to get this going. First of all, if you guys, oh man, I forgot to mention this. I really suck at live stuff, so you guys just hang with me, okay? Here's the thing. When you guys are following me on the tutorials and you're typing along with me, you guys will, you can pause the video and stuff like that. So what I thought we'd do with this live series is you guys just act like you're standing over my shoulders and you're watching me program, and go back and watch the replay of this video if you want to go back and copy it, because you guys will be able to access these live videos after we're done recording them, so that you can go back and get caught up after each one. But I'd like for you to be engaged and just watching, so that you don't miss things by trying to type it out real fast and keeping up with me. And I don't think I'll be able to keep up with all the questions. But what I would like for you guys to do, I want this to be a learning experience for all of you. And so I would like for you guys, as you're watching, to ask questions in the comments, ask questions in the super chat, and as you ask questions, I'll try to answer them as we go. And also, if you guys see me make any big mistakes, let me know. Also, if you guys if you think you have a better way of doing it, like I said, I'm going to do this thing live, and you guys might have an advantage over me. I don't know what time it is where you're at. We started this at 7 o'clock p.m. where I live, and I've already been at work all day. My brain is kind of mush from programming all day already, and then I drove for 2.5 hours to and from work. And so you guys are going to be smarter than I am during this. But I thought it would be really fun just to do this together. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to do this. Crap. I'm still getting used to the software, guys, so here we go. Screen only. Alright, so let's go through just a couple things here. Hello, guys. If you're new, if you're just joining us, welcome. We've just gone to Bitbucket and installed the framework, and I got it open right here in Atom. So to get this thing set up, if you go to the config directory and open config.php, we're going to need to update some of these values here to get our database connected, and also just to kind of set up a few things. So I'm going to leave config open, and then what I'd like to do is, let's jump over to the browser. I'm going to go ahead and close down Atom, XAMPP, and I'll close Bitbucket. So what I'm going to do is go to localhost, phpMyAdmin. I don't usually use phpMyAdmin. I usually use SQL Pro on the Mac. However, I understand most of you guys may not be on a Mac, so we're just going to use phpMyAdmin so that we're all on the same thing. And I need a new database, so I'm just going to click New here. And I'm going to, for the database, I'm just going to name this thing Live, I guess. And I'm going to import a file. So let's see, if I go to Applications, XAMPP, this will be in your project directory that you just installed. There is, I put the rua.sql right here. Go ahead and open that. I'm going to click Go. Hopefully this works. And what this does is it just adds the users table and the user sessions table, just so we can instantly have a couple tables that people can log in, or we can create like a login and register system. So now that we have those tables, we're probably going to add stuff to these, especially the users table, because the way I'd imagine we're going to do this, and this is all up for debate. So if you don't like my ideas, you guys let me know. But what I thought we would do is create like a backend where you can go and log in as like an admin user or some employees and give them different access to stuff, and they can upload, their own products to the e-commerce site. And so what we're going to do is have some different levels of users. So the front end people, they can visit our site and just register. They don't have to, I don't think. I think we'll allow them to purchase things as guests. But if they'd like it to create an account, we can do something like give them just access so that their shopping cart experience is a little bit better, and that'll help us a little bit because we'll be able to do some dashboard stuff, some reporting, and some cool things like that. Also, even though we're choosing to create an e-commerce site, the primary purpose of this live stream is not to learn how to create an e-commerce site, it's to learn how to program. So we're just using this as a catalyst or just an idea of a project to build. We could be building a social networking site or just anything, basically a task management site. It doesn't matter what we're building. The concepts are going to apply to anything that you guys want to build. And so also, guys, hey, there's no stupid questions. So if you guys have questions, just the only stupid question is the ones you don't ask. And chances are, if you have that question, then someone else on the live stream or someone else who's going to watch a recording of this live stream may have that same question. So do yourself and others a favor and ask them if you have them. I know we're going to have people of all different skill levels, and we'll just deal with that as we go. Some of you may be more skilled than I am. Some of you may just be starting. All right, but okay, so now we have this database set up, live database. So let's go back now to our config here, and we need to change the database name. And so for me, I just named this live, and I have mine set up. I had mine set up for the username is just root and the password is blank, and that's only because we're using XAMPP. If you're on a live server, this would not be your settings, obviously. You want your database protected. Someone just asked, have I ever tried VS Code? I have not. I installed it. I like Atom a lot. I don't use Atom at work either. We use IntelliJ, so I use a different IDE. We kind of have to use, where I work, we have to use the same IDE, which I think is lame, because I'd rather use Atom or VS Code or something like that, because I don't know, I just feel more comfortable there. But I use Atom. It's free as well, and there's a lot of awesome plugins for it. So if you guys are using VS Code, that's totally fine. It doesn't matter as long as you're set up for your environment. All right, so and the host is going to stay 127.0.0.1. Guys, if you are doing this on a shared hosting, or you might have a domain name for your host, try to use the IP address. And the reason is because on the back end, this MVC framework uses a PHP extension called PDO. And if you guys put in a domain name, it has to do a DNS lookup. And that takes, that can take anywhere from 100 milliseconds or something like that, even up to 300 milliseconds, just to do that DNS lookup sometimes. And so before you can connect to your database, you're doing a DNS lookup, so your database connections will be a lot slower. So that's why you'll want to use an IP address, especially on your local machine. It's probably going to be 127.0.0.1, unless you've done some configuration, and then you'll probably know your settings anyway. Our default controller, let's see, I think we're going to go ahead and make that home. Let's see if that still exists here. Yeah. So we're going to keep that at home. The default layout's going to be default. The project root, this is important to set up. So if you were on live, this would actually just be a / like that. But if you're on XAMPP, WAMP, LAMP, whatever, you're going to give it your project directory. So in my case, it was live, and then you do a /. Okay? So whatever you've named your project, you'll just do live here. And then what you'll want to do, also, let's just change the site title. What do you guys want to call this thing? Live. I'm not very creative, and especially I have a lot going through my head trying to keep the stream going, and comments and typing and everything. I'm a horrible typer, and I can't talk. I can't believe you guys want to watch my YouTube channel. That's unbelievable. The menu brand, let's just call this something, I don't know. I don't know. We'll just, for now, we're just going to put brand. I don't know what to put there until we figure this thing out. The other thing that you guys will want to go ahead and change here, and you won't want to leave this the same, is the session names and the cookie names. these are just like randomly generated strings with just numbers and letters. Don't use any special characters because it may. My son just posted, "Hi, Dad. Hi, Marcellus. It's great to see you on here. Good night, buddy. I love you. I hope you sleep well." So anyhow, sorry about that, guys. I just want to say hi to my kids. They're giving me up for the night so that I can be with you guys. So so we're gonna change this. I don't know. Let's go somewhere and random string generator. Let's see what that thing does. Random.org. Let's try that out. Let's generate one string. Let's do 16 characters, and let's do uppercase, numeric, lowercase. And then I'm just going to go ahead and get string, see what happens. Alright, here's one. You guys don't copy mine. it's not gonna help. You'll want your own string. So I should just use an MD5 function. Yeah, I could do that, or I could do, you know, a base 64 thing of like a SHA-1 of unique ID and all that. But I don't know. I'm just gonna do this for now. You guys can do that if you want. I'm just defining it here in the config file. Alright, yeah, so now we have that set up, and let's just see what happens if we try to connect here. So if we go to localhost /live, it's all going to crash and burn. Oh no, it loaded just fine. Okay, so if you get this screen, you're good to go. That means the database is connected, and that's all the configuration that we have to do for this. So the way this thing works, if you were not a part of the MVC tutorial series, you guys can definitely go and check that out. I recognize some of you guys that you were on that, so that's awesome. You guys already know how this works. But essentially, what we have is in our directory structure, we have the app, and this is everything that we're going to build. We're going to do controllers, models, and views. And when I say models can mean two different things to people depending on what what school of programming you're in. Some people by models mean, in a traditional sense, a model would be like all the business logic that even generates the views and everything like that. When I say model, I mean that pretty loosely, and what I'm specifically mean by models is this is going to be our database classes that interact with each table. So each one of our database tables will have its own model, and that'll allow us to interact with those tables and do basic CRUD operations and some other things like that. All right, how are we doing on time, guys? All right, we've been doing this for 30 minutes, and I haven't shown you anything yet. I love you guys for sticking around. This is fun. I kind of feel silly because actually I'm just sitting in this room, like staring at my camera, my thing, and you guys are watching me. Anyways, I guess it's no different than recording, except for I'm live and I can't stop it every time I make a stupid mistake or say something really, really dumb, and you know, start over or just edit that part of the video out. So, anyways, so we're gonna put the models there. So we already have one for users and user sessions, which is why we ran that SQL import to create these two tables. They're very simple tables. You guys can look at that if you want. The other thing that we're going to do is, oh, my other son just commented, "Hi Ben, I love you too, buddy. Good night. Be good for mom." So, well, I'm glad those guys showed up to my live stream. They always watch other YouTubers, like all day long YouTubers. It's unbelievable. They watch stuff like video games, and actually Benjamin watches all roller coaster stuff. He loves roller coasters. And Marcellus, he's really into like superheroes and the Flash and stuff like that. Anyways, that's my family. I love you guys. And then over here we have our views, and our views is going to be where we store the front end pieces. These are basically, so if you look at register login, this is actually our HTML. So we're going to do as little as we can of logic in these, We do all of our logic in this application in the controllers, and then the controllers will load the views and pass the information down to the views, and we can use information from the controllers. And we'll see how all that works, guys. It's super simple. This is a basic, very, very basic framework for MVC, but I did want to kind of get you guys going on that. The other thing is we are using Bootstrap 3. I opted not to upgrade to 4 right now. We're just going to go ahead. That's already loaded in to here. So there's Bootstrap 3, and then there's a custom CSS that we can access that's loaded in after the Bootstrap file. So we can do some of our styles there. The fonts were basically from our fonts are from the Bootstrap stuff. I just copied it directly in. And then we have Bootstrap, JS, and jQuery. The only reason I loaded jQuery is because Bootstrap kind of depends on it, some of the modals and things like that. And the purpose of this is like for us to move quickly. You know, this series is going to be a little bit different than the e-commerce site I did before. We did a lot of it by scratch, by hand and stuff. Okay. Rob N says, thanks to your videos and by reading some books, I work now as a PHP developer. That's awesome. Congratulations, man. I didn't go to college for this either. I basically learned on YouTube and by reading books, and man, it's been a blessing for my family. You know, I've been doing it for almost 4 years professionally, and it took me about 2 years because I'm a slow student, but it took me about 2 years to learn and to create some projects that I can use to get an internship. So I just got a 6-month internship where I work, and they paid me like $15 an hour for the internship. But then they hired me, and then so I've been there for 4 years, and I work with some great developers that make me, I mean, they make me look stupid every day. It's pretty awesome, which means I'm learning every single day from just like you guys are learning now. All right, guys. So we have this set up. Let's go ahead and kind of decide. Let's look at our register function here. So I'm going to click login, and login is, well, I guess I should show you guys one thing else before we get going on building this. The other thing is the way that this works. Our menu items are defined in this menu ACL. It's a JSON file, and so it starts off very, very basic. The only thing in the menu right now is home, login, and log out. And then access control, so that you can control what people see, whether by their ACLs that we store in a database or by these pre-made ones. We have guests, which are people who are not logged in and are just on your site. This is what defines what they can see. And then we have logged in, and this right now, the only thing that logged in people can see is log out. So if you look, you don't see the log out button because they're not logged in. And that's because that's only available to people. That is basically only for people who are logged in. Okay. JJ says, I have an answer for the ACL menu. I don't know what that means, but if you think you have a better way of doing it than a JSON file, that's cool too. The way that the menu is currently built is you just add the stuff in, and basically it just loops through these things and will build out the menu, and it can do drop downs and things like that. The question was, JJ said, is it possible to add icons to the item menu? Yeah, man, let's do that later on. Let's make it possible. I don't know that I did that. We can look at that real quick. If you go to core, and let's see, I think it's in router. So we can do separators, it looks like. So there's two ways we could do this. We could probably just inject it right into, we could probably just define an icon thing. So if you go, we'll go to the menu thing here, and we can just put an array or object here and define the icon we want to display, and then we can display that icon in that router file. So we'll do that later. I don't think that's something we should get bogged down to in the first video, but yeah, that's possible for sure. All right. So yeah, the config's updated, and then what we want to do is go ahead and take a look at our register file. So by default, we got to decide if we want this register form to be for employees or back-end users for admin, or if we want this to be for like the front-end users. And we could change all the styles up in this later, guys, but right now all we're asking for is basically a first name, last name, email, username, password. So we just had a question from Steve. Can you watch it from the start? It came in late. You can. You can probably just rewind the thing and start over, but you can probably just follow along, and these things are going to be like recorded, and you can just go back. What we're doing is you guys are just going to comment along with me and ask questions, and we're going to program this thing out, and then on your own time you can program it. I don't think you guys should try to follow along with me while we do the video. Just watch the replay as many times as you want. That way you can pause it on the screens and see the code and everything like that. But yeah, so you can still watch the video from the start if you like. I think I've made that available, the TiVo type functionality. I'm just checking on that. You should be able to though, if you'd like to. Okay, so I think what we'll do, since you guys didn't have any input on this, is let's kind of adapt this login screen to be for let's keep this. Let's go ahead and keep this for our front-end users, and then we're going to add a special form so that we can add users ourselves, and that'll give us, we can determine like what level the employees have. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, hopefully nothing too sensitive pops up here. It shouldn't, because I'm using a different version of Chrome. So for a password, I'm just going to put password and password. Click register. And let me check the database to make sure that worked. It did insert. Okay. So that did still work right out of the gate. So let me try logging in. Alright. So here we are. We have our brand name, we have home, log out. So let's just go ahead and kind of get a few pages. Man, it's so hard to think how, if we want to build the back end of this first with our products or build front end. You guys let me know if you want to build the back end or the front end. I think what we should probably do is like a little bit of both and kind of jump around so that we can decide what we're going to show. So I think it would be helpful. Let's build our product description page. And so I think what we'll do is we'll do something like in the URL, we'll do product / and then we'll do like an ID. So it'll be like, you know, something like that is what it'll look like. And so we'll do product, maybe details, something like that. And thanks for your answer. Programming makes me look at you as a demigod. No, programming really isn't difficult. If you guys are good problem solvers, I think what makes a good developer is someone who can solve problems. And it doesn't matter about being on a computer. Just in life, if you guys are good problem solvers, then you can be a good developer. Learning to program a certain language or a website or an app or anything like that, it's not hard, it's just big. So there's a lot to learn, but man, I Google stuff all day, every day, because there's no way to remember everything, you know. I think that's the other thing, is I've given you guys the wrong impression by creating videos. Let me cut to my screen here, because I want to kind of really get this across. Like, I've done you guys a disservice by creating YouTube series of me just typing out the source code and then you guys following along, because then it leaves you in a place of thinking, man, how did he come up with that code that he put there? Like, you know, and you didn't see any of the research that went into it. You didn't see how basically, even when I was shooting the video, I had the screen, I had another screen, and I had all that source code already written ahead of time, and I was just like looking at it and copying it while I talked. And the reason I decided to do these live events is because it's not, I feel like you guys are missing out, because I had so many of you guys commenting and asking questions like, this is broke, this is broke, this is broke, and you have no way of knowing how to fix it, and you don't even know how to like read the error messages that pop up that kind of give you hints. And so I've done you a disservice in that. So I'm not a demigod or anything like that by any means. I'm probably the person with the lowest IQ in the room. Like, all of you guys are probably way smarter than me. I'm just really stubborn and I don't give up. I was landscaping and doing construction and things like that, and I was really sick of working on that, and my body's kind of breaking down. And I just made a decision when I was to do something else. And programming sounded fun, and I had kind of had to build some websites for a few nonprofits that I helped run, some churches and things like that. And we didn't have money to pay developers, so I just built Joomla sites. And I started looking at the Joomla code, and I was like, man, I can't modify this ever if I need to, because I don't know what any of it meant. And so I just made a decision that I was going to learn the program. And I went home every night after working, and I just spent hour after hour after hour studying and learning. So no demigod, nothing like that. I'm pretty stupid actually, but don't give up. Don't give up. If you guys start doing this and you're confused and you're like thinking about giving up, just sleep on it. Don't give up. Come back the next day. It'll click. Start over if you have to. There's no race to hurry up and build some site or anything like that, guys. It's really about you guys learning. And I don't care if this e-commerce site takes us 2 weeks to build or if it takes us 2 years to build. My goal here is for you guys to ask questions and for us as a community to become better programmers, to learn how to research things, to learn how, if you were just going to go and get a job and sit down and they gave you a computer and said build this, would you feel comfortable doing that? Would you feel comfortable working with a team? So it's one thing just to be able to write some source code, but it's a whole nother level when you get hired somewhere and they're paying you money and you're working with a team of developers and you have to work with their code every day and things like that. So that's my goal. That's where I want to go with these live events. I want to get you guys to a place where you guys can make money doing this. But yeah, Shane Turner, Super Chat. Thank you very much, Shane. That's very generous of you. I didn't really expect anybody to do Super Chat, but you know, thank you very much. I'm blessed from that. And Shane said that he built the MVC with us, so he's looking forward to continue the learning. Yeah. JJ says, I started with Drupal, but PHP from scratch is more better. Absolutely. Drupal, man, that one was hard for me. I built a site on that. I learned with Joomla, and I went to use Drupal, and I felt like I was too dumb to build a site with Drupal. So, hey, if you can build a site with Drupal, that's awesome. All right. So let's kind of design what we want our product page to be. And so again, sorry, I didn't click back over to the screen. So what I want to do is right here, the way this works in this MVC, if you're not familiar with this product or this framework, if you didn't build it with us, you'll recognize that like right here, this live part right after the localhost, this is just my project directory. And if I don't have anything after that, that's just the home controller. And it's the home controller because we set that in the config file. That's not the index, guys. That's really important for you to understand that this entire application is always on the index. It actually doesn't go to any other PHP files. It is always on the index, and that index file looks like this. So basically, every request that comes into the application comes through this index file. And so the index file basically just sets up a few constants. It requires in our config file. It does our auto loading for our classes, and then it starts the session, and then it does the route. So it takes this router that we built in the core route here, and it will actually just, essentially all it does is it deconstructs this URL into parts. And the first part right here is actually the controller. So it deconstructs that, and it'll load the controller based upon that first part of the URL. The next part of the URL is what's called the action. And so if we open up, let's just open up the register controller. We open up the register controller, and we have these public functions here, and these are called actions. I don't know what's up there. It just keeps highlighting that stuff. Oh, that's probably just my text editor. But anyhow, it will load this action, and it doesn't. You don't have to type in the word action, but the part before that is right here. So we're looking at details. So in this specific situation, this is going to fail when I try to go there. Actually, it says I don't have permission to access that page. Moreover, that page doesn't even exist yet. So even if I give myself permissions, which we will in a second, you'll see that there's going to be an error. I just want to show you how the URL structure works. Then after that, it doesn't matter. After that, what happens is each little segment of the URL, this one will be the first param. That's the second param, and that's the third param. And you can do as many parameters as you want. And what happens is that it actually loads them in. So if I would pass in param 1, param 2, and param 3, so it would actually put these in as the values for those parameters. So that's actually how this framework works. So you're not going to be typing like details.php and then use like a get string. We're going to create a controller, and then we're going to move on from there. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and give myself permission so that you guys can see the error that we'll get, and then we'll solve each error until the page works. So let's go down now, and I think what we'll do is let me close some of this stuff just so it doesn't get confusing. And we need to go down to right here inside the ACL. We want to give the logged in user access to products. Okay, so the way this works is it's basically, we're going to give it the name, and then we can give it each action. So you can break the permissions down by action. So if you want a really fine-tuned control over what people can see and what people can do with a form, like whether or not they can save a button or something like that, you can give that. But if you want to give someone access, like this logged in user is going to have access to products, if you want to give them access to all the actions in that controller, you can just put a star there. So that's the way we decided to generate that. So now I should have access to this, but it's going to still give us an error. Let's go ahead and create the controller. So in the controllers, I'm going to hit new file, and we're going to call this thing products.php. And what we have to do here is we'll open up some PHP tags, and we're not going to close the PHP tags. A lot of times you get used to closing PHP tags, but in this instance, when we're using OOP, we're going to use object-oriented programming, and basically this stuff just kind of gets loaded, and then more PHP loads after it, and so we can actually cause problems with closing those PHP tags. So we're not going to close them. So if you see me not closing PHP tags, it's on purpose. But what we need to do here is define a class, and this class is going to be products, and it is actually going to extend controller. Alright, so let's talk about that for a minute. Just go ahead and throw it in the comment section. All you guys familiar with object-oriented programming, or is this going to be kind of a new concept for you guys? Let's see. All right, so nobody's really saying anything. So you guys have either all left, or you guys are like, what's object-oriented programming? Or maybe you're like, come on, man, get on with it. But either way, just a really quick explanation. What we're doing is we're creating a class that can be used to generate an object. And the class is like a blueprint that, a class is a blueprint that's used when an object is created from it. So imagine like if you're in a factory or something like that and you have this blueprint of a product that you're going to make. Well, a class is that blueprint. Once you make it, that thing that you made from there is actually an object. And so this is actually considered a child class, and it's going to inherit everything that the parent class, which will be controller, has in it. So if we look at that, if we go to core controller.php, this, so it has basically a load model, and what it does is it constructs the application. So this actually extends the application, and then the application does a few things. It basically, all we're doing right here is we can set reporting. If we're in debug mode, it'll actually show us some errors and things like that. And then it just unregisters all the globals if they were set. So it just it's just a little bit of security for some older stuff. But essentially, our controller is going to control the access point. So we created this products that extends the controller. So now what we need to do is we need to instantiate this or give it a constructor. So we'll just say public function construct, and what gets passed into this is let's see, it is the controller and the action. So controller action. Okay, and then we need to construct the parent of this as well. So I think that's just, yeah, it's parent. And you have to use the static constructor for this so that it doesn't actually try to construct itself. Like, use parent because it's going to go to its extended parent here. So then you just pass down controller and action. Let's see if I'm missing anything else. I haven't looked at this in a while. Yeah, that's it. So that's the minimum that you need for these controllers, guys. So now what should happen is we should get in our products, back on here, we'll get an error that the action doesn't exist. And I have screwed something up. Awesome. And that's because I'm going to product instead of products. And I still screwed up. And that is because I'm still stupid. And we need to call these, the controllers have to have the word controller after them. I forgot about that. So I'm going to rename this. And for the auto loading to work, you have to name the file the same as the class name. Refresh. And what in the crap is going on, guys? Let me oh. Yeah, so you guys, I have this inside denied. So it's going to deny everything to this. So this actually, you guys probably saw that. Man. So what you have to do is, we're going to put it outside of the deny on the logged in stuff. So yeah, it's because I'm logged in. So we should be logged in. So we want to be a logged in user, and it can't be inside this denied section. So yeah, refresh. Here we go. This is what I was expecting to see all along, but I had the ACL file wrong. So just be careful on this, the way that this JSON file is built. Be careful where you're putting things. But yeah, so now products, if we're logged in, we're going to have access to every single action in there. I know you guys might not understand just yet, but just follow along, and I promise you're going to get this, because we're going to do this so many times throughout this. The repetition is going to definitely help. Alright, so now that we have that in the ACL file, the way that we fix that error message is we actually need to give it this details action. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to the products controller, and I'll close down some of this other stuff. And we're going to give it a public function, and it's going to be called details action. Alright, so now that should be all we have to do, and this error message is going to go away, but we're going to have a blank screen. And we have a blank screen because we have not loaded in our default layout yet. Okay, so if you notice on the home screen, back in the home controller, we were rendering a view, and so we're not rendering anything here. But what we could do actually here is you can just do echo something like hello world if you just want to see that this, you can spell right, it'd be awesome. But this will just kind of check that it's working. So now it says hello world. So actually what we need to do is we're going to actually load in a view. So in order to do that, we need to create, inside of our views directory, we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this folder products. It's going to be called the same thing as the controller. And then inside of there, we're going to give it a new file. And that file we're going to call details.php. We'll keep that open. And then let's just, on here, let's just type some text, save it. And then back here on the details action, what we want to do is load that in there. So we're going to do this hashrocket render view, and let's just make sure I'm right on that function. No, it's just view render. Okay, so it's actually not part of the controller. This is actually part of the view class. So you'll do this view render, and then we just tell it what view we're gonna render. And to do that, it's gonna automatically go to this views directory. So we tell it products, and then details. All right. So now you can see that up here at the top, we have that random text that we typed in, but we also have our menu here. It also says hello Curtis over here because we're logged in. So if you got that over here, then you know that it's working correct. It doesn't look correct because I'll show you why in a minute. But if we just start going here now and we start typing in some HTML into our view, some HTML, and we save that, what's going to happen is it's going to be above our menu. And the reason that is because with this MVC, what it does is it actually loads in, if you go to layouts, it's loading in this default layout. Okay, so it loads all of this, which also loads in our menu. Okay, and then we have something called this content head and this content body. And so in the view, we have to tell it where we're trying to inject the information from a head. So this is where you can add additional CSS or script tags or JavaScript into your views, would be inside of the head. The body would be obviously the rest of your HTML. Okay, and so let's go ahead and do some of that, and I'll show you what happens. So instead of some HTML being there, what I'd like to do is show you both the head and the body, but we'll start with the body. So what we're going to do is open some PHP tags, And we're going to type this start body, and after the h1 tags, this is going to be all over HTML. We're just going to do PHP, we're open tags, and we're going to say this end. Okay, that's it. So the view files need this PHP and this PHP, and then whatever HTML that you want to render goes in here. Okay. The editor that I'm using is called Atom, A-T-O-M. So you can go to like atom.io and you can download it for free, and it works for Linux, Mac, or Windows. Just as a, because I'm curious, why don't you guys all put in the comment section what operating system you're using and what editor you're using. Just because I'm curious, because I want to know so I can help you guys the best that I can. So now that we've put this here within the start body and within that end, if we refresh now, this some HTML should actually be in the content area of our site. So I'm going to refresh, and now you can see our menu stuck up at the top where it should be, and now we have the HTML rendered right here. Alright, Shane says he's using Windows 10 and brackets, Linux and Atom, right on. I'm a Linux guy myself. Right now I'm using Mac OS and Atom. Windows 10 and VS Code, right on. Yeah, thanks for everyone kind of giving their input. Brackets is cool too. I tried brackets before Atom. If you're a front-end developer, brackets is pretty nice because it has some like hot reloading stuff, and you can load some browser stuff right in there. Alright, so now that you can see how a view will load some HTML in here, basically that's it. That's how that works. So what we want to do, let's get some reference material here. So let's just go to JCPenney. That's an online store. So let's look at their website here. And then let's sorry, I just got a text from my wife, guys. I didn't mean to be disconnected there. So let's just go to something here. Let's see what their product page looks like. So let's see. Yeah, so what they're doing, basically their product page here, look at their, man, they're definitely not using an MVC framework. Look at this. But anyways, what I think we'll do is we'll kind of rip this off. So let's, they have an image of their product shown here, several images, and then they have their price, and then I think, you know, they got sizes and colors and stuff like that. Availability, quantity. We'll make stuff look a little nicer than this too, but we'll want a longer description as well. JJ said, I started programming PHP with your Shanta's Boutique. Yeah, that's an interesting story. If you guys want to hear it for a second, I'll tell you the story of Shanta's Boutique and how that came to be. Well, I'll tell you anyway because I like talking. And I want to get to know you guys. I sit at home like recording these things. I know you guys want to learn. I promise we're going to learn a lot. But and we're going to go for a while. So if you guys are down with it, we'll go for several hours here. So Shanta's Boutique was like the first series that I put on my YouTube channel for programming. And what happened was I was actually, after I got my job, I was still an intern. And so that's why the code sucks so bad on that thing. So OFC we want. I don't know what OFC means. I'm kind of old. But yeah, I'm old, so I don't know what OFC means. So let me switch over here. So I just got my internship, and can you try to view the website via mobile mode too? Yeah, we'll do that too, man. We'll make sure we build everything kind of mobile responsive. Absolutely, because we're already loading in Bootstrap. It'd be silly for us not to do that. So for sure, we will do that. Oh, you want to look at this one in mobile? Sure. Let's see what this looks like. Let me put this at the bottom here real quick. So let's see what their site looks like on an iPhone. Wow, it's not very... I guess it's not bad with the product page or their list of products, but if you actually click on the products, maybe it'll load better now. Oh yeah, it looks like, yeah, they have a different layout for mobile here. I don't know if you guys can see this, it's kind of small on my screen, but if you guys ever want to see what sites look like in mobile, just real quick and dirty, it's not always perfect, but you can open up Inspector on Chrome, and you can click this device toolbar right here, and it'll let you choose either some different sizes, or you can pick a few pre-sizes that they already have in there for you. But yeah, that's what their site. So we'll make sure ours looks good on mobile too as we go. But so my son says OFC means of course. Demetrius, sorry if I can't pronounce any names. Don't be offended, especially if you live in a different country, if I can't pronounce your name. I can't pronounce my own name. I don't even know how to say it, so I'm not even going to say it live because I don't know. It's like Curtis or Curtis. I don't know. It's something like that. But I'm just joking. But my 8-year-old told me what of course means, so I guess he's watching my live stream still. He should be in bed. All right. So back to Shanta's Boutique. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Who asked that question? Steve. I'm really sorry I didn't have my screen on when I just showed you how to look at that site on mobile. But just to be clear, yes, we're gonna look at everything on mobile. So we'll get to that. So Shanta's Boutique. I just got an internship. I was making like 15 bucks an hour at this internship. I was driving, and I was super excited. I was like, man, this might actually work. All this time I've put into learning the program might pay off for my family. And my sister and my brother and her boyfriend, they're all struggling financially. They didn't have good jobs or anything like that. So my sister's real name is Shanta. And so we came up to the building, and we would spend Saturday mornings where I just sat with them and tried to teach them the program. And you kind of know pretty quick if people are going to get it or if they're not going to get programming, which I wasn't going to give up on them. I was going to keep shoving it down their throats, but at some point, like, they did well when we taught HTML, and they did well when we taught CSS. They got that. I started teaching programming, and we became like problem solving and stuff. Their eyes kind of started glassing over, and they just weren't getting it. And slowly but surely, one at a time, they dropped out. They didn't want to come anymore. And I was like, man, I really want to teach people how to program, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that it can improve people's quality of life, because it's starting to improve my quality of life. And so the project that we had started with was at Shanta's Boutique. And so what I did was I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it on YouTube. And so I spent, I don't know, the next several weeks just recording and finishing it and putting it on there. And I had no clue that people were going to watch it. And I think there's like something like 250,000 views on that first video now, which is amazing to me. I cringe personally when I watch that series. The code is horrible. I was a brand new developer, and I just wanted to share what I knew, and it helped me learn as well as I went. And so I think your guys will always cringe when you look back at your old code if you're growing still. If you're becoming a better developer, you're past coding, you're going to look at it and you're going to know better ways of doing things by then. And so I'm not like embarrassed. I just want to do something better for you guys. So at some point I'm going to pull that course off my channel and redo it with better code. But that's where I was at the time back in 2015. That's my coding skill then. And it was pretty bad. Anyways, that's that. So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to jump back to my screen. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I'm going to jump back to my screen here. And what we have is a page that lost its images. All right, so let's kind of like map this out a little bit. It looks like we have a section for an image. We have some pricing details here. It looks like that we have some sale stuff. I don't know if you guys want to build a clothing. What do you guys think? What kind of store should we build? Clothing, or should it like a video game store, or what? Because it's going to matter. But we'll kind of use this layout just for fun. But you guys let me know in the comment section what kind of store you want to build. You want to sell car stereos or anything? I don't know, tools. Because we probably won't need to pick sizes and things like that depending upon, what we decide to build. But let's jump in here. So let's just grab this. Start off here. So they're using an H1 here, the font size. Okay, so let's in our H1 let's do some sort of product name. Let's see. You guys like board games? I like board games. Let's call this Catan. We want to just say Catan. And then what we can do is underneath that, let's go and put a section for a picture. I'm just going to jump online here and images. Grab one of these. We'll grab a couple of them. Oh my, throw it in our projects folder real quick. So we're in live. I'm going to create a new directory. We'll just call it images, and then we'll save it in that images directory. We'll probably do a slider or something later, but we'll just do one image for now. All right, and so let's see if that worked. Images, Catan. Okay. Mobile store. We're going to build a website selling phones. You know what? Let's just do a hodgepodge. We'll sell a lot of crap. I'm a jack of all trades, so we'll sell everything. All right. So we have that image now. So let's just add a div right here. Just something to stuff that image in, and we'll give this thing a class of just maybe product image wrapper, and then just do some image tag here, and for the alt we'll do Catan. Don't worry guys, we're going to make this thing dynamic. We're just going to kind of lay out what we need on the screen, and then we're going to go back and we're going to add this thing to the database, and then once we add it to the database we're going to load it with PHP onto the screen. And once we get to that point, we're going to know what our form needs to be to add new products, and we're going to jump right into being able to create products for our website. So the source for this, I'm just going to give it a relative link here. Let's just do, we're going to echo out the project root, and then we'll say images catan.jpg. Let's see if I got that correct. All right, Steve. Yeah, we'll make a mobile store, man. We're just getting kind of a basic layout for now here. So, and the other thing I want to show you guys before we get too far along. So we got this this here and we got this here. We'll be able to style all this too. But what we should do is, I want to show you before we get too far this head thing. So what we can do is also, other than putting stuff into the body of the view, we can do a start and you put head. We'll skip down a few lines and we'll do this end. And right here, what we can do is we can actually put CSS or JavaScript here. So let's do some JavaScript, just some basic, just to show you how it works. And I'm just going to console log it worked. I'm really a basic person. I try really simple stuff before I try to do anything complex. But so I'm going to open up our inspector here. I'll go to the console, and refresh, and now you can see that when we load the page, the console log typed it worked. So JJ asked, why not build something different, like a multi-vendor e-commerce should be difficult to do? By multi-vendor, do you mean like we allow people to register as a vendor and sell their products on our site, and then we get some sort of like percentage of that, and then they get a percentage? Is that what you're saying, JJ? There's probably like a time lag from when I'm speaking and you guys hear it. I'm sure it's not exactly live because it's got to transcode it and upload the video, and then they have to play it back. But you know, we could think about doing a multi-vendor e-commerce site. That's interesting. That would be a really complex thing to do. So they would have their own storefront at that point. So so if I wanted to sell board games, I can sign up as a vendor on the site, sell board games, and then Steve Robert could sign up as a vendor on my site, and he could sell mobile stuff. Kind of like an eBay, but it would just be a direct sales stuff. That's really interesting. I think we should try to think through that a little bit. Maybe we will do that. That's cool. Alright, so now we know that the console log worked. So I just wanted to show that to you guys because we talked earlier and how our default layout had this content head and this content body. This is how it injects that from the view. So if you look at the view, we started the head, and then when we end it, it actually does an output buffer and echoes it out right there. So that's why the script is actually getting put in here. So if you look at the source code, what's cool about this and doing it this way is we're not just putting our script tags into the body. We're actually, if you look at the page source, here's our head right here. We actually have the script tags get injected right there. And then our, let's see, down here is where we've injected the body inside this container fluid. So this stuff right here. So that's that. Just wanted to make that clear. The other thing that we can do here from the top of the screen is we can actually, and I think we should do this, we can set site title. And this will be dynamic as well when we load the page. We'll just put Catan there. That way when we refresh the page, it says Catan at the top. And then we'll make that dynamic and load from the database. So every time we add a product, yeah, JJ, I can't get that out of my head, man, about the multi-vendor thing, because the reason that would be an interesting project for us to do, and I don't know if it would be super complex, but we're going to have to do a lot of joins and stuff like that. And we're going to have to figure out a way to give these vendors their own, I guess they don't need their own storefront. What they need is basically people can search, and every product will show up based upon their search, and then the vendor, it'll just be kind of a side thing. Okay. So we got a little bit of discussion about what we're gonna do, guys. But hey, let's just move along, and we're gonna make it. We'll do some simple stuff. And if I ever do anything that's complex or too complex for you guys, just let me know, and I'll explain it. I'll make it not complex. So whatever we do, we do. But I'm not getting too bent out of shape on what this is going to be. Like I said, I came into this very relaxed, and I just kind of wanted to. Build this with you guys. So it's going to be a little bit hard to meet everyone's needs, and it's also going to be hard to make everyone happy, because I'm sure a lot of people aren't happy that we're using this MVC framework and not Laravel. But overall, the goal is to not build a store. The goal is to not build a website. The goal is to become better developers. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to become better developers, and this is just an excuse for us to get together and do that. All right. So let's look back at our store here, and it looks like they kind of split it in half, and they have this half of the screen kind of has the images, and then this half of the screen has the rest of the information. So we're going to use some Bootstrap classes to do that. So let's jump in, and let's give it a div of call medium 6, and so we'll dump that. We're going to dump that div with the image wrapper right inside there. And what that's going to do for us is give us the 2 column layout. So we'll also do a wrapper div. We'll just say class of row. We'll close that down here. Let's go ahead and indent that. And then this will be column 1. And then we'll do our column 2 right below that. All right. So we don't need this for now. All right. So now what we need is a price. So let's look at what that page is looking like right now. It doesn't look any different, but there's going to be 2 columns there. We only know that if we put something over here. So we'll just put price. See? So now it's 2 columns, and this will actually be mobile responsive. So if we make this thing, look at the inspector, as we grow and it becomes to the breakpoint, it jumps down back up to 2 columns and then down to a single column. So that's kind of the direction we want to head. So let's see. We need the price, and then we need other information about it. So let's do a pair. No, doesn't matter. We'll do a div. Really doesn't matter what we do there, but I'm going to do a paragraph tag, and then we're going to say we'll do a span inside of that. And then outside of that, we'll do the price. So for now, I'm just going to put $48.99. The other thing we'll do with this is, since we're all kind of from different places, we're gonna we'll do a currency thing where, like, it's a $sign here or whatever, and we might actually even try to do some conversion and stuff. That'd be interesting too to look into. So depending on where the vendor's at, if they put in pounds, we'll convert it to whatever what people are looking at. All right, so then what we're going to do, go back here, Refresh. Now we got price $48.99. So we also we'll need some shipping information here too. So let's see. Let's do shipping, and we'll say shipping is going to be, and I'm just making this stuff up out of my rear end, guys. It'll be $7.99, and then we'll do total, and whatever this total is. I'm too stupid to do math right now, so let's see, that would be 55. Well, I don't know. I should have made easier numbers. I'm too dumb, guys. Too dumb. Too much to think about. 56.98. I should have been able to do that in my head. I actually was in calculus. I was pretty good at math at one point in time, but the older I get, the dumber I get, and I can't do as much stuff in my head anymore because I use a computer for everything. Okay, so we have a price, we have the shipping total. So we might go ahead and, you know what? Now, Steve, don't freak out here. I don't think it's necessary because for what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to let's go ahead and put vendor. Because we need vendor anyway, regardless of not if we do like a multi-vendor site. It'd be good to know like the brand or whatever. So let's see. And I'm just putting some stuff on the screen for now. We're going to need a button to add to the cart. We could do an add to a wish list too. That would be a cool feature to have, like a wish list. That would just be another table we could keep. We'll start with add to cart, and then we can grow it as we go. I think I'm going to keep everything as basic as absolutely possible as we build this. And then as we get ideas and stuff, we can make it better and we can add to it and stuff like that. That's how I build things anyway, usually. If I try to take on the thing, Steve, that I think will happen to us, especially when we're new, is we kind of get paralyzed by the scope of a project. And I didn't know where we were going to begin tonight. I don't even know why we began on this details thing. It's just where I started. You just got to start somewhere, and you build from there, and we might have to change some stuff, but we're just going to do it live, man. And I'm just ripping off JCPenney because I don't want to do it from my head. The next thing down that we'll need here, and we'll style this up to look real nice, guys. Don't worry about that. But we also need the button to add it to the cart, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's add... And this button was actually kind of, they had it off to the right, so we can do the same thing. Bootstrap has a class called TextWrite that we can use. And then inside here, we'll just do a button. And we'll put add to cart. And then for now what we're going to do in this button is we're going to add an on-click, and this on-click will be, because we'll probably, you know what would be cool, let's use Ajax to fire it off and actually add something to a cart. So that way we can, because I've had a few requests for people asking how to use Ajax with this, so that'll be cool. So but for now what we're going to do is we're just going to console log add cart. Okay, so let's give this thing a class of button, button large, and let's see, they were using a red button, I think. So let's try that. Let's try button danger. I think that's what it's called in Bootstrap. That gives us kind of a, I don't know, like a somewhat soft looking red. So we might change that up a little bit, the styling on that. That'd be cool. Let's add an icon to that button too. So let's look at, if you go to Get Bootstrap. So you guys are probably, uh, you guys might be surprised that I'm looking stuff up. And because you never see that. You never see people doing that on YouTube videos when they're programming. You just see them typing away, typing away, typing away. But what you don't know is before they typed all that stuff out, they looked everything up. The reason that I'm doing this way is because I wanted you guys to see the process. You know, the process is the most important thing. It's not what you're typing. It's what are we doing to go through this. So I just went here and I'm going to go to their glyphicons. Let's look for shopping cart. Yeah, there it is. We'll use that little cart right there. So it's glyphicon, glyphicon-shopping-cart. So what we can do is inside this button, let's give us a little space here. We can do, we'll just use an I tag. We'll close that and we'll give that a space. And then this gets a class of glyphicon, and then it was glyphicon shopping cart. And let's refresh now. So now there's a little thing there, and we'll make in the menu over here or something. We'll make if they have a shopping cart, we'll put like a little shopping cart icon up here with a badge above it to say how many items are in it, and they can click that to go to their shopping cart and continue on with the purchase. All right. Alright, so I know this looks dog ugly right now, and that's totally okay. We just need to continue on. And JCPenney had, like, down below all this, they had some related products and stuff like that. We might tackle that too, where we put some stuff down below this main product page to, but what we need right now is a description. So a good place for description would probably be like, they put theirs in a weird spot. So theirs is underneath their related stuff. And it's really kind of a crappy product description, honestly. We can do better than that. Well, they have specifications. Let's see. And they have the reviews and comments. We should do a review and comment section too on these products. That'd be cool. We'll give all of our products like a 1 star. Alright, so let's do that. Let's do description and reviews, but we're going to do it different than they did. What I think we'll do is we'll do another 2 columns, and we'll put description down here and customer reviews over here. Or we could do something like, I want to leave a little bit of this open for more pictures, because we're going to do a slideshow of pictures here at some point too. Alright, so let's do product description. So what I want to do is back in the details thing here, let's go outside of this row and let's add another row. Man, come on, Emmett. If you guys ever see me do something dumb, like I don't often develop like this, so a lot of times you'll see me end up typing something like class name, and it's because I do most of my stuff in React, and so you can't just put class in a component in React. You have to use class name. And I'll do some funky stuff with styles too, because I use Sass at work, and so I just have some habits from doing that stuff that I may leave semicolons and brackets and stuff off, and you guys have to remind me. Well, you won't have to. I'll figure it out. But so let's let's add a couple of these divs in here, and we're going to use some H3s, I think, inside of these. Scroll up a little bit. So here, let's do product description, and then here we'll use customer reviews. Let's see what that looks like. Alright, cool. Again, we just have like a grid right now, which I know it looks bad, guys, but just hang with me for a little bit, okay? We don't need to make things look perfect yet. That's not the scope of what we're doing right now. Alright. So let's look what this looks like on mobile. Yeah, we got this, and then we'll have the pricing information below that. Add to cart, which is off to the right. We'll fix that for mobile. And then product description, customer reviews, all that. That's kind of cool too that the menu's mobile friendly. That's kind of cool stuff about using stuff like Bootstrap. We didn't have to design that out of the box. It just came like that with Bootstrap. All right. So now let's just continue to add a little bit here. So in the product description, let's do man alive. Let's do a description here. Catan is one of the funnest board games you will ever play. I'm just making this stuff up. Enjoyed by millions worldwide. Whoa! You guys got some world tags. That's cool. Worldwide. We could do a lot more description, but let's just do that. The reason I'm setting all this up is because in just a few minutes, we're going to make all of this dynamic, guys. This is just going to work. All right. So, I see that I put price on here twice. So, what was I thinking there? I think I was meant to put brand here, and I think the brand for Catan is Mayfair Games, maybe? What is it? It doesn't much matter, I don't know. Let's see. Cosmos. That's interesting. So we'll put Cosmos, and I'm going to put that below the vendor for now. And we're going to put the vendor on here. We'll do JJ. There we go. So we got a price, shipping. I deleted the total, which is awesome since I had to do math in the console because I was too dumb to do it. But that doesn't matter. We're going to do that dynamically from the back end anyway. So let's add that back in. Alright. Alright. That's what I get for... One thing you guys probably, unless you've done YouTube videos, it's difficult to program while doing these YouTube videos because you're trying to focus on just keeping everything going with it, and then it's like, yeah, list price would be good too. Good idea. So you'd want to do like, you're trying to keep track of everything you're doing. You're thinking about what you're doing, and you're trying to talk and type at two different rates, and so your brain is just like overloaded. So trying to do math on top of that is like, I don't know. It's like trying to run and eat and rub your head and tap your belly type thing. I don't know. It's just so much going on. All right. So another Steve brought up a good thing here. Let's do list price, and then of course that would be something like, you know, $78.99, just to make it look like you're getting an ultimate steal. All right. So what we want to happen is we actually want this stuff to come from the database. So I think that's going to be our goal for the night, because it's coming up on 9 o'clock. Let's add this table to the database, and let's try to get, we'll just plug it in random, or we'll plug it in manually for now without a form, and we'll come back and do that later. But what we're going to do is have it load this product from our database. All right. So let's jump in here. Let's create a products table. Yeah, we're going to do a wish list, JJ. I think that's going to be a related table, a join, something we can add later. So I think we're going to work on the cart part of it first, and we'll actually save the cart items too, so that if someone, we'll store a cookie on their computer, so that if they come back to our site, even if they weren't registered or signed in, it will remember the things that they had in their cart and add it back. And maybe we'll do some funky stuff like that. And then the wish list, I think what we should do is, most likely the wish list should only be for people who are registered to the site, something like that. But yeah, we're going to do that. That's nothing. So let's add a new table, and let's just call this thing products. And it's obviously going to need an ID, and the ID, just make that an int. We're going to make it an auto increment, and it'll be the primary key. That's going to be pretty standard as we go. We're also going to do created at, and the created at is going to be a date time. Dang it, I chose date. Date time. And let's see, we'll allow null on that. Updated at. And then let's do, I've never seen this before. Oh man. I haven't used PHP MyAdmin that much, so if I get lost, excuse me. So what we'll do here, each product will need a title. So let's give it a title, and we'll make that a variable character. And just to be safe, so they can have longer titles, let's do that at the max of 255 characters. We're going to allow that and the updated that to be null. Let's add, I don't know, 10 more columns. So I'm not sure what all we're going to need just yet. Then what I think we're going to do is we're going to have the title, we'll do description. The description is going to be a text field, which takes up more memory in the database, but I think it's important. So description, let's see, we also needed customer reviews are going to be joined onto this, so it's not actually going to live here. So we're not going to put that here. We're not going to put, we'll put the vendor and the brand and then all the pricing information. So let's do vendor. Vendor is going to actually be an integer as well. Sure, we'll allow it to be null. Brand will be an integer. Let's see. And then we need list, price, total, and not two totals. Yeah, category. Good idea. So we could do category and brand. That's fine. We'll leave categories and ints as well. The reason I'm doing these as ints is we don't want to like hard code like a brand and a category in these, because we want to be able to share those between products, and we want, if we say we misspell a brand or something when we created it and we put a bunch of products in our database, we want to be able to fix that brand and it just update on all those products. So the way to do that is I love you too, Marcellus. Good night. I love you, Ben. Good night. Thank you guys for checking out my channel. They were excited about my live stream. They're probably not so excited after they saw it, because to them a live stream is like roller coasters and video games and stuff. But so we have brand, category, and then let's do list price. List price, this will actually, let's make this a decimal with a size of 10.2. And then we'll do the same thing with, we're just going to put the other one as price. Let's see. And then we need shipping. Shipping, we may try to tackle like some sort of dynamic thing to figure out based upon their location how much shipping will cost, or we might just kind of leave it as a hard-coded thing for now. The other thing we haven't talked about yet is tax, but we can come back and add tax and stuff like that too. So, you know, the thing is I'm not all that interested, unless you guys want me to be, in like creating a fully functional site or e-commerce site, which we will, and we'll do credit card processing and all that. But to get into like a bunch of stuff like tax and VAT numbers and all that a real e-commerce site would need, I mean, we're looking at a long project, which I'm fine with if you guys are. But so shipping, price, list price. We don't need to put total here because that'll be dynamically generated. So I think that's it. Because our images, we may join the images on as well. I think in my e-commerce site, the Shanta's Boutique one, what we did was we had like a text string, and we did comma separated, and that's okay. It's not great. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this like this. We're gonna do our images from something else. What we may do is images. No, I don't think we're going to put anything about the images in this table, because what we'll do is we'll create an images table in the database, and they'll have product IDs or something on them, and then that way we can join on like that. Alright, I think that's it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, JJ. That's a good idea. Alright, so we have our table for products, so let's go ahead and just insert into here. Let's do, I don't know, let's do today's date if we created it and updated that. Title, this was Catan. The description. And then, whoa. You know what we could do too with this, since it's a text field, we could actually add a WYSIWYG to this, so that on the back end, when you're typing out your description, stuff like that, you can do styling in different colors and everything. So we'll do that too. That's cool. And then vendor and brand, I'm just going to put a 1 in each one of these, as well as category. List price, I think, what did we say, $78.99. Price, we had man, I just totally like screwed all that up earlier. You guys are probably looking at me like, man, this guy is such an idiot. We'll put some somewhat realistic values in here now. I don't actually know that Catan's list price $78.99, but you always jack that up a little bit so that it looks like they're getting an ultimate steal. So we'll hit go on that. So now if we go to browse, we got our Catan here. Alright, So what we need to do is we need to actually, and we're not going to get everything done right now, guys, but let's create our model for this and create some functions to grab this product. So, oh, you know something huge that we forgot? Something, if we're going to do the vendor thing, we'll come back to that. We're not going to get all crazy about that at the moment, because actually we're fine because we have this vendor already, so that's fine. So what we need to do is inside of our application, we're going to create a new model, and this model is going to be products.php. And so this will open up some PHP tags. We're not going to close them, and we're going to define the class. Now this doesn't need the word models after it. Unlike our controllers, we need to append controller onto the end. You don't need to do that with your models. So this is going to extend model, which comes from our core file in our thing. We just kind of have that. And then what we want to do here is, let's see, let me open up another one, see what we have to do for instantiation. I think we just have to give it a table. Yeah, we just have to give it a table name that it's going to be drawing from. So we'll skip down a few lines here, and we'll do a public function construct. And here we're going to do table is equal to products with a lowercase, because that's how we spelled it in our database. It's important to spell it correctly if I can ever type it out. And then we'll construct the parent and that gets the table passed down to it. The other thing that we need to do inside of here is above our constructor, what we need to do is add each of our columns as public properties inside this class. So I'm just going to type public, and then we'll do ID. You know, the other thing we probably need to do is soft delete on this, so that people can delete these things, and it actually doesn't remove it from our database, so we have history on that. So we're going to do that as well. So what we're going to do is ID created at, updated at, and I'm just typing in variable names that match exactly our column names here. So if we go to look at structure, I'm putting all of these in there, guys. That's all we're doing. If anybody needs to know why, I'm happy to share why, but I can explain it very well once we start actually returning these things. Some of this setup work is just slow and tedious, and I know this isn't super exciting now, guys, but we are going to build this thing, and it's going to be awesome. And I might just replace the Shanta's Neighbor thing with this live series. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. I'm just going to go ahead and do another row here. I don't want to get too crazy here. What was the last one I did? Category. So we got list price. Then we have price and then shipping. And then we're going to add one more additional. And then the last one we're going to add is deleted. But we're going to give deleted a default value of 0. Alright, so that's all of our columns that live in the database. Are we all tracking? So we added a model which is going to interact with this table, and we've set up this class, and we've just added properties that are all public so that we can access those values later. Alright, so that's what we're doing here. The other thing is, in this constructor, if we want this thing to be soft delete, we just need to do this Let's see how I did that before. So that property exists inside of models, so we don't need to add it. So yeah, it's an underscore. So this underscore soft delete is equal to true. And what that will do is anytime in our application when we delete something by using the model delete method, it'll actually just update the row and it'll put a Boolean value into our deleted column. And that'll make sense in a minute. So let's add that real quick so we don't forget. So in our products, we need we need to add another column. And we'll just add it after shipping. And this is going to be deleted. It has to be spelled like that. And what we can do here is just use a tiny int. Length of 1, because it's either going to be a 0 or a 1. And let's see. The other things that we need to do in this database to make it load fast and everything is we need to add indexes. So let's go ahead and add an index for this as well. So I'm going to add an index name of deleted. Go. And then I'm going to hit save. And then we need to go back and add a few indexes as well. See, we have deleted and the primary key are indexed. But if we want this to run at a decent rate, we need to probably index category, brand, possibly vendor. So at least those three all need to be indexed. So that when we're doing searching and stuff later, it can search through potentially millions of rows. I know that our application is going to have millions of rows, but when you have a database that has a lot of data and you need those queries to be fast, then the things that you're searching on need to be indexed. But you don't want to, I don't even think you can index the text field, but you want to try not to index everything. That'd be a horrible idea because that would hurt performance. But if you index the few that you need, especially if they're integers, man, that'll speed things up incredibly. That's just a little tip there. So let's add a few indexes here. I'm going to create it on, let's see, vendor, brand, and category, so 3 columns. I haven't ever done this before this way. So the column here, let's see, we need vendor. Oh man, I'm just gonna do it one at a time because I don't know how that's working. Wait a minute. See, I don't use PHP MyAdmin, so yeah, JJ, I know you told me to put default value to deleted field to 0, but for whatever reason, that doesn't work. I mean, it should work, but I think the way that the models are being saved is just not working. And we've defined that actually in our model. So if you go back here, we defined it here. And I like that better anyway because it's very specific in the code. And it helps in that way, like in case your database, whether you're using MariaDB or MySQL or whatever, or if you change DBs later to something else, this would be defined. So even if it doesn't support default values in the database, you can define the defaults here in the models. So I know we can argue about that if you want, and you can do that if you'd like, but I don't see much of a point to doing that at this point. I guess I'm dumb and don't know how to use this, so I'm just gonna, oh, I see what I did. Okay, so let's do vendor. I didn't change this to index, and then they make you choose the column, which is really strange. Yeah, I don't like how they do this in PHP MyAdmin. So we need category, and we'll add that. I guess it's not bad if you know how it works. Category. Nope, not that one. Go. You type delete, yeah, delted in products.php. Yeah, I probably did. We'll fix that. Thanks for pointing that out. We would have found it the hard way. Later when nothing worked and we're trying to debug and we're like, what the heck? That's what I do. I misspell everything, so if you guys do that too, it's pretty normal. So we have category, now we just need brand. Man, I'm distracted. Again, guys, I already worked like 10 hours today developing stuff, so my brain has had about as much development as it can take. Alright, so now we have these indexes, so that should be a little faster. Let's look at my delted and change that to deleted. Alright, now that we have that, we need a function to get that from the database. And so we're just going to use find first. I'm not even certain, we don't really need to do that in the model because the models already have, and I know some of you didn't build this with us, but the models already have they have a find first and a find by ID, and save and insert. We have a lot of these already built out so that we can interact with our database very easily and quickly. And that's the power of using a framework. And I know there's a lot of better frameworks than this one, but we built this framework, so we're going to be proud of it. We're going to build an awesome system on it. So now what we need to do is go to our products controller, and our details action, if you're, in order for this to work, we actually need to tell it what ID of our details, or of our product details, we're going to get. So in our what it needs to look like is this. So we just added our first row, so it'll be product details 1. And then after we add a second, it'll be that, and then eventually it'll be like that and stuff. So let's see. Looks like still doing good on internet connection and stuff. Alright, so I had a horrible internet connection before we started. I was like sweating bullets here because it was like, you have horrible internet. I was like, this is not going to go well, especially if I plan on being here for 3 hours. Alright, so the next thing that we want to do is, so when I hit enter here, it passes this 1 into this controller action. So what we need to do here is we'll type in product ID just to be, you could call this whatever you want. I mean, you could do ID, but just to be really specific, I'm going to put it in just like that. Okay? So now what we need to do is we actually need to grab that from the database by the ID. So what we can do is we can create, so let's just say product equals, and then we need to load this controller, or our model, into here so we can use it. So there's 2 ways to do it. If we do it in the constructor, we can use it for all of our actions, and it will only make the database connection 1 time. We'll do it for each request, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just going to put it there so I don't have to remember to do it everywhere else. So let's do that. Let's say this load model, and then the model that we're going to load is products. So then product down here inside our details action, we can access this by saying this how do I access that? Let me look at it real quick. So if we go down to core and look at our model class, oh, I'm sorry, we need to look at the controller. Load model. Oh, it just puts it in the content. It puts it right in our scope. So we can literally just say this products model, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do find first. And the way that this find first works with our framework, guys, is we pass in an array. So we'll just say an array like this, and then we can tell it conditions like this, and the conditions will be the way that we do this is we're just going to say ID equals, and then we put a question mark, okay? Because we're going to bind this. We're going to avoid SQL injection by binding this value. So we're not just going to plug this right into our conditions. So instead what we do is we do bind here, and then that gets an array, and you just put them in the order of these question marks that are in your conditions, okay? So the first one will be product ID, and that's the only one we need here. We can actually make this a lot simpler, but I wanted to show you how this array works. So later that when we're doing like, when we're getting a bunch of products for like our products list page, we could do it like this. So what this is doing, just so that we're clear, is for some of the beginners, the way that PDO works is, okay, we need to do something, we need to protect against something called SQL injection. An SQL injection is anytime we are getting input from our users, we can't assume that they're going to be good people. That, you know, for example, since we're just passing in product ID here, we can assume that that's going to be an ID if we want, but somebody might do something like this, where they put a semicolon, and then they might do something like drop table users, assuming that we have a users table or something like that, right? So what they could do is they can, if we give them an input or something like that to pass information, they can actually put SQL into that. And if they do that, if they put SQL into that thing and then we pass that into our database, it's going to run that query, and if they put that semicolon, it'll stop whatever it was on and then continue on with that SQL command, and it would actually destroy our users table in our database. So the way PDO handles this is it will actually, through binding, it prepares the statement and it filters this down to just be in a string, so it can't be executed as SQL. So that prevents SQL injection. Okay, so it's a security thing. So that's why we're doing it like this. The only other thing I'm going to add here is I'm going to cast this to an int right before product ID like that. And the reason I'm doing that is because just in case they type something else there, it's at least going to convert it to an integer. So it's expecting an integer, and we're going to do a typecasting to an integer there. Okay. So let's get this product. So let's try it. Let's do a var dump right here. And actually, we have a function in our, and you guys don't know about this yet. We didn't build this, but we have some helper functions, and so we can do h, and it's a static one. We're just going to do h d and d, which is dump and die, and we're going to dump product right in there. And let's see if this works. Okay. So what should happen when we refresh the page is we should get a var dump of that product if we did this correct. So let's refresh, and you can see that if I scroll down, or actually all of our properties are up here. So if you look at ID, it's an integer of 1. We have our created at. Updated was null. I don't know why. I must not have put that in a database. We'll look at that. Or maybe I screwed something up with spelling. Title, Catan, looks like we got our string. Vendor, brand, and category are all integers. We have our prices and all of that. So we have everything here loaded into our object. So let me look at the database and see if I screwed that up, or yes, I did. Okay. I put update at. I do this crap all the time. You guys are gonna be way better programmers than me because I type stuff wrong like as much as I possibly can. I don't know. It's just like I'm a masochist or something. Like I want to have a hard time doing stuff. So, all right. Let me just check on a few things here. All right, guys. Do one quick break for a second. I'm gonna take a drink of water. And I was just looking at some stuff, some housekeeping stuff on YouTube. Make sure we're running good. Someone asked, are the files going to be available? Absolutely, guys. I'll put these on Bitbucket, and you guys, I'll put it in the description of the video too. So you guys will be able to stay along. You know what we'll do too is we'll create a new branch for each video, so that you can see the code that we did just for that video or something like that. I don't know if that's useful. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. All right. So now that we have this product, we need to use it inside of our view. And luckily for us, it's insanely easy to do that. All we need to do is say this view, and then we give it a property. So we're going to say product. So we'll say this view product is equal to product. So what this does now is we're reaching out to the database with our find first method. We're getting the product, and then we're passing it down to our view, and then we're rendering the view. What that allows us to do is inside of our view now, we can start replacing all these values with values from our database. So let's do that. So first, let's actually replace our site title and make that dynamic. So what we can do here is we'll echo out. So you open up PHP tags and do an equal sign. That's a shortcut for PHP echo. And we're going to echo this, and then you access it like this product, and then we'll plug in the title. Okay, save that, refresh the page, and unexpected. That's because I'm stupid. I'm stupid. We don't need to echo it like that because we're already in PHP. So we just need to do this product title. So now we just got Catan up there. If I would go to the database and actually change this to something else like Catan's with an S, and we refresh, you can see that the site title is dynamically updated now based upon what's in the database. Some of you are like, yeah. Man, this is so elementary. Look, guys, I hope you understand that I'm doing this to help as many people as possible. So some of you guys are going to be like bored, and hopefully you can pick up a few tips as we go, and we'll get to more complex things. But for some of us beginners, we need to go slow and just kind of. And if you guys have questions, man, like I said, there's no stupid question. Ask it if you don't understand what I'm doing, and I'm happy to kind of go into deeper things. I just want to make sure you guys understand what we're doing, more so than we building the site. Okay, that's the main goal here. So in our H1 here, we need to replace Catan here. Now this is where we need to open up PHP tags and echo out this product title. Okay, and then we're not going to mess with the image right now. We will get back to that. And then let's just go through and update all of these values. Okay, so list price, we have to echo out this product list price, and then I'm just going to copy this and kind of put in all these values. So shipping, we'll come back to total because I don't know how to do total. Let's see, list. How did I get this so screwed up? So we just need a price here. We'll just do our price. Make it look like, you know, we're something special. And that one was price. And then in total, we'll come back to vendor, and brand we'll come back to. Actually, you know what? Let's just do total because that's not anything difficult. We'll just echo out this product price. We'll probably do some sort of function later, but for now we'll just do plus this product shipping. And then we'll refresh, and here we go. We have our list price, our price, shipping, and then total is dynamic between our price and shipping. Okay. So let's see. The next thing we need to load in is our product description. So product description is a little funny because if there are new lines in this, so if I go in a database, and since it's a text field, and let's say I put, for some reason, this on a new line, I would want that to show up like that in the database, but it won't right out of the bat. So we'll get to that and I'll show you why. So what we need to do here then is come into the product description right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to echo out this product description and refresh, and it didn't change. And the reason it didn't is because HTML doesn't understand new lines. So what we have to do is we can run this through a function called NL to BR. We might do something later when we start using this with a WYSIWYG. But for now, we can at least do line breaks. So if I refresh now, it turns that new line that comes from the database, and it puts that on the next line. So Steve Robert asked, I started late. I'd like to know if you started this project from scratch. That's a tough question. I have a series on YouTube called MVC PHP Framework from scratch, and so we built the framework from scratch. So yes, this whole project was started from scratch, but today, this is our first video, we started from that framework we built on our channel. So you can use that framework. I gave you guys in the beginning, and I'll put it in the description again, the link to go and download the framework, and in the beginning we showed how to install it and set it up and everything. So we're using an MVC framework. The reason we're doing that is because most of the time when you get a job, they will be using some sort of some sort of like framework, and so you very rarely will go and do everything from scratch, and that's because, man, it takes a long time. And I built an e-commerce site from scratch. It's just, the code's ugly, and that's what's going to end up happening and stuff like that. But this framework will allow us to build this very quickly, and at least give us a lot of tools like our database information, our methods to interact with the database. We would normally have to build all of that out at the beginning of a project. And so to do this live, we're kind of starting from my framework. And so Shane said, well worth watching and following along, Steve. Yeah, so I'll just let Shane speak for himself. Shane believes in me enough to give me a super chat. So I do appreciate that, by the way. Alright, so let's see what time it is. It is 9:20. So what we've done is we've actually built out, you know what we should do? This would be cool. Let's add another product, and I'm going to go to Insert, and we'll just, I don't know, we added these yesterday. I don't know. I'm just going to put yesterday. And then the title for this is going to be Lords of Waterdeep. JJ, 4:20 a.m. Where you at, brother? 4:20 a.m. You guys are more dedicated than I am. Worker placement set in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. I'm gonna do vendor 1, brand 1, category 1, just all for now. We'll change that. This is going to list for $109.89, and we'll sell it for $65.34. The shipping on this bad boy is going to be $9.99. And then it's deleted a 0. 320 here. Oh, JJ's in Italy. And we got Shane in the UK. Man, you guys are troopers. Wow. I'm sorry. Hey, if you guys got a better time that you'd like me to do this, I mean, I'm not going to get up at 4:20 so that you guys can do this at 7 at night, but maybe we can meet in the middle somewhere. I have a job, though, so it's tough. But I do appreciate it. You guys, listen, this is what it takes. You guys are getting up early, probably before you're going to work or school or whatever, and you're doing what it takes to learn programming and so that you guys can make a huge difference in your lives, and it will make a huge difference, man. I'm not gonna get too personal about how much money I make. I definitely don't make as much as I could. I love the place I work, though. The boss is really awesome. It's a small place, so you know, compensation comes in more than one form. Compensation is more than just how much you get on salary, which I do get a fair amount. But there's so much more that goes into it. So I can go, you know, down the street and make over 100 grand a year, or I can stay where I'm at and make a little less. But I know the people I work with, and I know that they've bent over backwards to help me in my life, and they've also are the people who gave me a shot and gave me the internship before I knew what I was really doing, and have invested a lot of hours into training me and making me a better programmer. Portugal. What time is it right now in Portugal? Should it be really close to... I don't know. I'm really stupid. So anyhow, what I wanted to show you guys, since we added that in the database, if I change this 1 to a 2 now, hit enter, now you can see that we're getting the info. Now we didn't update the image yet, or the vendor or brand, because that stuff's still static. Steve, it's 4:20 for you too. Wow. So are you in Italy, or are you north of Italy, somewhere else, or where are you at? This is awesome. I'm old, and like, this technology has not been around for me when I was like growing up or anything. So it's really cool for me to like talk with people right now that are like on the other side of the world, and we're doing it live. Like, I'm geeked out by that. Like, that's really cool. But so you guys can see how this works now. So what happens is, with our details, we can just change the ID in the URL, and it will load. And see how fast that's loading? Bow! Bow! You don't even see it uploading. It's too fast. No, I'm joking. 324. Wow. You guys are troopers. I love you guys for doing this. I should just keep going all night and teaching you this until it's like 4:20 in the morning for me, and then it'll be like a normal time for you guys or something. It'll be like dinner time. You guys are like, oh, we're gonna go. London, nice. All right, so guys, I don't know like what else we could tackle tonight and be productive. Do we have any questions right now? And again, there's no wrong questions. Steve, I will upload those links. You know what? I'll just grab those for you right now. Let's see. If you go to YouTube, name is... I don't know what my name is. Where's Parham? I don't know what my channel name is. There I am. So if you go to playlists, I have a beginner PHP 101 course that I just started too. There's 9 videos in there, but that teaches you like very beginner stuff, like what's a variable and what's a loop and stuff like that, you know. So here's the MVC PHP Framework.
With Wix, you can create...
Let me see if I can grab the direct playlist link. I'll throw it here for you, Steve. Oops, I accidentally put an A in there like that. And then, yeah, that's what I look like if you didn't see me. I'm stupid looking. Whoa! Shut up. I'm very self-conscious. I hate seeing my face or hearing my voice. It's like agony for me to edit my own videos, man. I don't know. Anyways, there's also this playlist here. This is that original PHP e-commerce site that has horrible code in it, but it works. And I did this from scratch a few years back. So if you're a very new beginner, and you want to build an e-commerce site there, you can watch those as well. But this is the framework we're currently using. I posted videos as soon as this morning in this series, so it's really up to date. And the code that we're using right now is the exact where we left off in this series. So there's that, guys. I will put it in the description. If we have any questions, you guys have any questions that don't even pertain to this project, just about being a developer, or questions that you might have about things? Yeah, do I keep the live on the channel? Yeah, it automatically does that unless I delete it or something. So this will be in my videos. I'm going to try to add it to a playlist as well, where all these live videos we're going to do will be all in one playlist. Let me switch over to my webcam. So absolutely, this is going to be on the channel, so you guys can go. That's why I was saying, don't try to follow along with my code. Just watch and kind of look over my shoulder and listen to me babble on about stuff, and then go back after the video and put it on, twice as fast watching it or something, or just skip around to the coding part and just do what you need to do to get yourself back to this place, if you'd like to do that. Shane asked, will this be every Tuesday? Right now, that's the plan, unless you guys tell me that's a horrible plan. With the exception of next Tuesday, which for me is Christmas. I do celebrate Christmas, so I'll be with the family, and I won't be doing this next Tuesday. I'll probably try to do one a few days after Christmas. So it might be like Thursday or sometime in between Christmas and New Year's, I will be doing it. So we got another really common question I hear all the time. People are like, what is the best text editor? And we've come to a place in development world where there are so many really awesome text editors, and they're all really good, and there's a lot of good free ones that don't cost any money for you to use. It really depends what you're doing and what your style is, and also just kind of like what your goals are with what you're developing. So I'll give you a few examples. Like when I'm working on my personal stuff, I like Atom. I love it because there's so many packages that I can go to get for it, to extend it, and it's really fast because it's just a text editor. There's Sublime Text, which I think is about $100. I like Sublime as well. You can also look at VS Code, which is a newer one that I think Microsoft put out, but it works on Linux, Mac, or Windows, and that one's really good too. Brackets.io is a good one. If you're on Windows, I know I started with Notepad++ way back in the day. That one's okay. It's not going to give you a lot of features. But I would stick with Atom, Brackets, Sublime. JJ, he's using Vim. So Vim is a text editor that you run inside your terminal, basically. And it's nice. Like, pretty much every server has it installed by default. So if you have to do something quick on the server, you can like, oh, I hate Vim. Yeah, there's a love-hate relationship there with me too. I like the fact that I could, if I push code live onto a server and it's like my code's bad and I just hurry up and need to change something really quick, like a bug fix, without redeploying, I can just usually log into I can SSH tunnel into the server, and I can use Vim right there to update the stuff. Do you suggest, Steve asked if I suggest he learn the framework before I start this project. Steve, I don't think it's really necessary. The fact is, whether we use my framework or another framework, we would have started from a framework we didn't know. So a lot of people suggested that I use Laravel, which is a really popular framework, and I didn't know it. I would have been looking at documentation the whole time. The difference is now this framework is really easy to go in and you can download it and then read all the source code and see if you can figure out what's going on. If you can't, just watch some of those videos in that course, but I don't think you need to go and do that entire series before you start this. It's two separate things. They're that's like, we're using Bootstrap for a CSS framework. We could write all the CSS we want, and we can write all the CSS we want, just straight CSS, but we can have a starting place, and that's what a framework is. It's basically a bunch of code that someone else started or that you created that you can use then to launch your products or your applications a lot faster. You can just use a lot less code because it's already started for you. That's what a framework is. It's a beginning point. So you don't need to know the framework, no. We had another question, which framework will I use in this project? We're using the one that we created on our channel, on my channel. So it's a real basic one, but we know it. And I had a lot of people request that one because they just got done building it. So we're using that one. I did have a lot of people ask me to use Laravel for this. And we kind of just decided tonight we're going to use our framework, and then I'm going to make a whole series on Laravel and upload that in the very near future, because I think, and we could actually build some of this on both just to see what it'd be like to do it on both of them. I'm pretty proud of this framework that we built, though. It's going really well, and it's really, really fast. I mean, it's really fast. I mean, it kind of reminds me of just raw queries, how fast it loads. Like, yeah. So there you go. That's how fast it didn't even work. No, I forgot the /. But I mean, it's pretty fast. So that's why I'll use this framework. Another thing about going back to text editors, you have text editors that are simply text editors, right? And you can, a lot of them have plugins that you can add to them to make them more powerful. But then you also have IDEs, and an IDE is set up more for like a specific type of project. So for an example, like a real famous IDE would be like NetBeans, and NetBeans would be a good starting an IDE to use for like if you're designing an app with Java, and you're creating some sort of like Android app. Well, you would use something like NetBeans or something like that. We use IntelliJ at work. I know IntelliJ makes PHP Storm. It's a little bit cheaper version of the IDE. I think they make one called WebStorm too, like if you're a front-end developer and you do a lot of JavaScript. But it's really powerful. So IDEs are slower. They take more computer power, but they come with a lot of really nice features, like debugging built in and stuff like that, where you can step through stuff. Now, Atom actually has a lot of things where you can add those same types of plugins to give you that functionality without having a full-blown IDE. And WebStorm and PHP Storm and IntelliJ and all that costs money. There are a few free ones too that you can look at. But all right, guys. Yeah, I'll sit here for a little while and answer questions if you guys have them. If you just want to know what it's like working as a developer, or how I got started, or how you should get started, or if you have any questions, man, like I just kind of want to spend a little time answering questions. If you have questions about the code we've written tonight, if you want me to dive into anything, let's do that. So you guys let me know what you want. I'm going to take a drink of water because my mouth's completely dry. So I know we're just starting, guys. We haven't done much yet. We have a products page that's not styled up real nice yet or anything, but just curious, did anybody learn anything tonight, or has this been helpful for anyone? Do you feel like you've gotten anything out of this? And don't feel like, if you haven't, let me know, and let me know why, and maybe I can be better in the next one. I intentionally didn't prepare a lot of stuff for this one because I really wanted it to be like you guys like went to work with me and sat behind me and watched the entire process. And that, because of that, it's a lot slower of a process, but it's a realistic expectation. So why did we use decimal rather than float? That's a really good question. We could have used a float as well. I used decimal just because I knew that with MySQL. I knew exactly what that would return, and I knew how it would work, and I knew it works great for money. A float is a decimal place, but let's look up float. See, I do this all the time. Float versus decimal MySQL. Let's see if there's a performance difference in that. Let's see. Okay. Oh, you can't see my screen. I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me know. So basically, I'm just looking up. I just Googled this, and what it looks like is decimal is going to be a little more accurate. If you need like more accuracy, you would use decimal, which probably does have some sort of performance impact. If you need close enough, then you can use float or double. But it looks like all three of these essentially do the exact same thing. Decimal just allows you to store more digits, so it looks like you can go up to 30 digits after the decimal point. So you probably don't need that for money. But I know you can also do negatives and things like that with the decimal. So I've used that a lot. Generally speaking, anytime I've ever set up a database like at work or anything like that, anytime I'm dealing with money, I've always used decimal. I'm not saying that that's like you can't use another type of like a float or a double or something like that, but I know decimals work really well, and I haven't seen or felt I don't know. Well, it says right here too, generally float values are good for scientific calculations but should not be used for financial or monetary values or for business-oriented math. Always use decimal. So it looks like we picked the right one for doing money. And that'll get more into not so much like displaying two decimal places for cents, like in US currency or whatever, but when we start doing things like reporting and we're doing percentages and things like that, it gets real important to be able to go further down so that we can not have any huge like accounting mistakes. Because a lot of times when you build these things, you build an admin area where the accountants will actually log into the back end of your site and get information about sales and things like that. And to make projections, you could be like a whole percentage off or something like that if it's not accurate enough. But anyhow, that's why I use decimal, even though I didn't remember why I used decimal. I had to look it up. But yeah, now my brain is refreshed on that, and that's why I used it. Good question, Shane. Thank you for the question. And I just want to take a second to tell you guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel. Thank you so much. If you guys haven't subscribed, please click subscribe so you can get updates when I'm going to do these live events. I'm going to try to do them regularly, maybe on Tuesdays starting out, and I'll let you guys know if that changes. But I've kind of talked it over with my wife, and I said, look, I really want to do these live things and spend some time with these guys. So anyway, guys, if you guys celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'll be on the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos. But guys, thank you for coming. Thank you for following along. You guys can send me messages or whatever, and we'll make the next ones better. And we'll always kind of go for probably a couple hours. At most, we'll do 3, but we'll try to do 1 or 2 hours at least, so that you guys get some value from this. Bring your questions next time. Steve, I do have a suggestion for you, Steve. I would go ahead and download the source code. Look through the framework source code and see if you understand it, and then get back to me. Okay? You can leave me a comment somewhere, and I'll remember you, and we'll talk outside of here. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've had a great time. I don't know how useful it was for you guys. I hope you learned something. I promise you will learn something as we go. I know it was a little slow starting tonight, but you can only do so much in 3 hours. And so good night, you guys. Merry Christmas. And I hope that doesn't offend you if you're somewhere or from a religion that don't celebrate Christmas. I happen to, but it's a special time of the year for me, and it makes me want to give you guys something. So I'm going to give you guys more videos and more content, and I hope that you guys will go and get jobs and make a crap ton of money. Or even if you don't get a job, I hope you develop something that changes the trajectory of your entire life. So with that, guys, be blessed. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for the kind words over the last few weeks that you guys have given me, and just for the support over the last few years. So with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the live channel. Thank you. Good night. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.